special police officer back in the 50s. My grandmother was one of the first people that lived in the housing development in one of the older estates off of Englishtown Road. My parents moved to Spotswood. I resided there, moved away, and moved back. With that being said, in the state of New Jersey, over the last 5 or 6 years, we've had enormous amounts of animal shelters issues as well as pet store issues. Some of those pet store issues I was personally involved in. Vinny Lasacco of Just Pups had 4 stores closed in Jersey and 1 store closed in New York within a matter of a year. Breeders' Pup and Brick was also closed. Fancy Pups in Woodbridge was closed. Lucky Pets up in Edgewater Cliffs was also closed. All of these were closed because of disease, genetic defects, parvo, distemper, Giardia, coccidia, roundworm, tapeworm, and all of these dogs came from licensed USDA breeders, every one of them. The issue here is they can sugarcoat this any way they want. Just because you have a USDA breeder's license does not mean that you are a reputable breeder. And it does not mean that your puppies look like they do in the store. Naturally, you're not going to sell something that's matted with its eyeballs bulging out of its head with open wounds and tumors and sores and pussy ears. Nobody's going to buy that. However, that cute little Maltese puppy whose mother is stuck inside of a cage in some puppy mill in Missouri, because that's one of the largest areas in the country where there are Missouri is puppy mills, one of the places where Vinny Lasacco got his. You're not going to tell me that Old Bridge thinks that this is a good idea. Maybe you only had one person that came here, but then again, when you're humiliated and bullied online by the breeders, which they come on my page quite often, I've had USDA breeders come on my page from Missouri and threaten me with my life. They can knock themselves out. My address is public record, they can show up at my house. If Mr. Gallo is so concerned about being videotaped here at the meeting, maybe Mr. Gallo should look up the Open Public Meetings Act, because he commented about cameras being in his face. I'm going to leave these with you tonight. These are all of the incidents over the last couple of years with respect to puppy mills in this state. Currently, there's a puppy mill down in Millville that has 156 dogs on its property. And yes, to those people that spoke, I have seen puppy mills up close and personal. I've been on them. I have 2 puppy mill dogs at home. I've seen them. I've photographed them. I've photographed the dogs. I have photographed what the dogs look like when they were pulled out of puppy mills. And yes, we do have puppy mills here in Jersey as well. They're few and far between. But again, just because you have a USDA license does not mean that you are doing everything by the book. Some of the people in this room have sourced from the Hartwell 100, which is the worst 100 puppy mills. We actually have people in this room tonight that have sourced from those puppy mills. So if Old Bridge is looking forward to having a lot of picketers come to their meetings and to outside this puppy store that's going in at the shops of Old Bridge, and there's an awful lot of people. People may not be here. People have families. People have jobs. People may not be here. But I can guarantee you, just like with Sequest up in Woodbridge, you're going to have people every weekend who are at this pet store. And I find it really hard to believe, especially in light of some of the individuals that are up here and some of the individuals I've been in front of before, to say that it's perfectly okay. I just find it really disturbing that in a town such as this, that we're going to allow a pet store, which comes from Petland, whether they call themselves something else or not, and Petland has had numerous violations. They've had abuse, excuse me. They've had diseases that have transferred to humans. So for instance, if you have a puppy with parvo that winds up in their store and somebody goes in and touches it, they've now walked around the shops at Old Bridge, touched everything else. If your dog doesn't have a parvo shot, or your dog isn't up to date on his parvo shot, or you went and got a puppy from the Old Bridge shelter, there's a good likelihood that your dog's going to end up with parvo. Parvo survives for 6 months after you touch it. You're going to be walking that all over the place. I'm going to leave these with you. I certainly hope that everybody up there would at least look at these and see what's going on with these. These are all recent cases within the last 5 years. Thank you.
Next will be council member comments. Anyone on my left for a comment? Mr. Murphy?
Yes, I just wanted to talk about something real quick. I think there was a misunderstanding or something happened. I served on the Recreation Board last year, and I think with the Assistant Chair of the Recreation Board that also served on it, but I'm not positive. His name was Thomas Kaliakova. He went away to play professional baseball, and he actually won a title. I don't forget what country it was, he won the batting title out there. But that's not what this is about. I spoke to, oh, he's on? He's on. I'd like to put him on. Oh, he's on. Oh, then forget, I thought you said he was not. Okay, never mind, thank you.
A number of us were told not to sign up for this portion, and
Sir, you're going to get your opportunity, as I indicated earlier.
but we should have been signed up.
Sir, you're going to get the opportunity at the end with everybody else, or we would have limited everybody to 3 minutes. We didn't
Councilman
do
Irwin's
that. Sir,
comment.
did you hear what I
We're supposed to
said?
be on this
Did you hear what I
portion.
said?
Sir, we understand exactly what you said, but to the councilman's
This isn't
comments,
about
we
the
were on for this
I'm not
portion.
going to argue with you, sir.
I'm not gonna argue
It's
with
gonna
you either,
proceed-
but
It's going to proceed the way we set it forth.
We were told by the
It's
clerk
gonna
not to
proceed the way
sign
we
up
said
for
it
this
was, sir.
section.
But when
And
your
that was
clerk
wrong.
made a statement for us not to sign up, sir, there's a reason behind
Sir,
it.
it's going to proceed the way we set it forth.
Well, you told us not to sign up for this portion, and you just said we were allowed to speak per the councilman's comments. So why were these four allowed to speak, but we're not going to be allowed to speak?
Anyone else from the council? Mrs. Brown.
Okay, this is going to be a little lengthy. So, Stella, by the way, thank you so much for including the items that I sent to you on that agenda. For some reason, they disappeared, I'm not sure, but I know you can do it. So, here we go. Actually, what I have to say kind of falls in line with what some of the audience members here are concerned about. And one of the first concerns I had, and I put this on the agenda, was ethics training for our council. I've experienced over the past just 2 years I've been here that certain people don't get to speak, including myself. And now, obviously, I'm seeing that certain rules apply to some people and not to others. For instance, we can clap in the audience as long as we're for the agenda of the majority of the people up here. And if someone has a thought that is not with the majority of the people up here, then they're usually told to be quiet, or they're told they need to not speak or leave or what have you. So one of the things I did add to the agenda, which is surprisingly not on the agenda anymore, is that I really believe that we as a council need ethics training. I know before I even got here, and I've said this a million times, there were issues, fights, disagreements, and so on that really turned ugly, and I think it's still happening. The only difference is, I think people have learned to maybe mask it a little bit better, but I still hear and see things that I don't agree with, and I do think we all need training up here, maybe myself included, I don't know. I'm new to politics in a way, so I don't go along with certain things, I guess the way they're supposed to be done, but I do think that it's really important for us to speak to each other a certain way, but also to hear everyone here. I know for myself personally too, I've come up with ideas that were viable and really great, and they've been silenced because they don't fit with what the majority believes needs to be spoken about. The other thing is, in light of different experiences I've had in the town with the police and different things, with the council, with just things I've seen on the Facebook page, I really do think that we need some diversity and inclusion training. I think that's really important. I've talked about that before, and that's not really been addressed again, so not sure what happened to that conversation. And I did try to keep this conversation again behind the scenes, but no one has responded, so sounds like I can't get anything done unless I say it publicly. So that's what I gotta do, I'll do it. So I'll let you answer this once I'm done. And then third, I put on the agenda about the stigma-free campaign. As you know, I'm on 3 active mental health boards. Actually, before I came here, I was at the county mental health board, which I'm on, as well as the public policy board for NAMI New Jersey, which is the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and also for their cultural affiliate boards. And one of the things I find to be really important, especially in light of a lot of children actually committing suicide and having some really harsh behaviors like cutting, is for us to adopt a stigma-free campaign. So that was also included in the materials that Stella sent. There was a resolution, and there were all the terms of it and what it would look like and how we can adopt this and present it to council and just pass a resolution. So I digress. Those are 3 things. Hope you followed me. And I just want a response. And I want an actual action of what we're going to do from here going out. Like not just words, but let's get a date for a meeting or something to happen. Camacho, Council President.
Well, I can tell you that the training, the ethics training, our HR department is actively pursuing for all our employees. The diversity, the harassment, all of those things are being handled for employee. So, I mean, we can certainly invite anybody that wants to come, the council member, if you'd like to join. Avril is here. Avril, am I right? We're going to have a training on that coming soon. So we'll send you those dates. And then what we'll do is Avril from now on will include any training that is conducted in municipal building. We'll send an invitation to the council pertaining to those that are not related to specific jobs, but the general training will include the council member into those training sessions.
Is there any way, because I know that you said before we can't make anybody go to it, that's on council, but for instance, we have actual mandatory meetings like the budget meetings, right? Everyone should be there, so in part, could we do a little bit of training before the budget meetings since you know people will be there, it's not a quorum? Yeah.
I'll leave it up to the legal, on the legality, legal issue, but any of those meetings, the budget meetings are scheduled, council is invited to come, but it's not necessarily everybody attends all the meetings, so, but we'll make every effort to invite council in those general sessions that we have, those general trainings.
Okay, I think, I just think it's interesting because all of these things become a legal issue if they keep going on and on, right? So if we just say, it doesn't matter, but like I said, I've experienced certain things here that are quite questionable and really concerning. I see the way people are, obviously, we can't make people conduct themselves a certain way here, but I've just seen over the years how people have been treated, and then I got in here and the same thing happened to me. So I think it's an issue that is ongoing and we got to change it. So, I don't know. It sounds like a very weak response to how we're going to deal with it. And I think I've made you all privy to 2 police encounters that I've had that were unsavory with my children in the car. So I haven't really heard anything back about that.
I thought you were meeting, I thought you met with the chief.
Nobody reached out to me. Nobody reached out to me. The attorney said that.
We did have a meeting with the township attorney who had a discussion with you on those issues.
And
So, again, I can tell you that some of the things are beyond the administration area and legal area. You're saying I have a weak response, but I don't have authority to tell the council that you have to attend. There is no authority I have.
right, but then again, to my point about just behavior with the police department and things, I'm actually, like a lot of our police officers, a lot of my friends are police officers, you know that, but there were still 2 encounters I had with my children in the car that we still haven't addressed, and no one's reached out to me. So having a meeting with the attorney, who also said, we'll meet and we'll set something up, and that never happened. So I just, again, I don't like to make things public, but it just sounds like nothing gets done until I say it up here. And maybe it still won't get done, I don't know, but this is about my 5th try, so.
Well, as I said, as the township attorney says, he's going to set up a meeting, he will set up a meeting, and he will, handle those things, because some of the issue raised, sensitive issues or a legal issue, that has to be handled by legal department.
Right. And so with the stigma-free campaign, so again, that was somehow removed from the agenda. I wanted to know what further discussion we can have about that. The resolution is pretty simple. I know there's the Mayor's Health and Wellness campaign, but considering I'm on 3 mental health boards, none of my ideas for the anti-stigma campaign were even included, and I actually had like some really great resources, so wellness and mental mental health are all included in overall wellness, of course. So just wondering, yeah.
I'll let Stella speak on the agenda issue because those are ultimately finalized without the administration participating in, but obviously the ultimate final decision is the council. Because these are council meeting, council agenda.
So my items can get removed by,
No,
yeah, because she put it on there.
no. Adina, no, nobody removed them.
Okay.
The agenda was up and down so many times today. Something might have happened, it might have been a glitch,
Okay.
but they definitely were on because I emailed you
Yeah,
when
no,
I
I
put them
remember
on.
that. Yeah.
And they definitely were on, but there's something had to have happened internally, all right? So they will go, if you want them back on next meeting, we'll just put them on again next meeting.
Yeah, we can, I mean, that's what I'm
But
talking about.
nobody asked me to remove them, and I
Oh,
will
no,
not have
no,
removed
I'm sure
them.
they did. Yeah, no, okay, they did.
You through, Mrs. Brown, or
Oh, I'm just waiting to hear what we're gonna do.
in terms of,
So, yeah, so the meeting with the chief and also the training, do you want to talk about what the actions are to get someone to come and do training, or?
well, as Mr. Shaw said, I can't force anyone, mandate anyone to come. I'm sure everyone is open to suggestions and to come, but I can't force them to come. Okay,
So, no, I'm sorry, yes, because he wants to have a conversation right now, it's not the right time. So, okay, again, if you can really talk to me about this, and otherwise I have to bring it up in front of everybody here in the public, so let's actually get a date to discuss this. Because even with you and I, we were supposed to have a meeting, that never happened, so.
well, we did meet once.
Yeah, but there was still no resolution to that.
Well, we're gonna have another, we'll have another meeting.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. DePalma?
Just one thing, I just wanted to congratulate the Old Bridge Girls High School swim team. So they had this year undefeated season as well as a championship season. So for the first time, Coach Weiss, Coach Davrio, and more importantly, the wonderful young ladies on that team brought home the first ever GMC championship to Old Bridge High School. So I just wanted to make sure I congratulated them. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Burke?
Yes. Can I have an update on the veteran housing there in Lawrence Harbor?
Unfortunately, we're still waiting for the grant that we have applied to the county under the home grant program. We are not getting, we haven't got the final answer from the county whether, we are going to be, we can transfer the grant that was awarded to us for the previous applicants to our new applicants. And that's what we're waiting for. Mark and I did speak about it. We're going to see, he's going to attempt to make changes with the spending plan to see if we can use some of the CORA funds if that is approved in lieu of the grant that we've been waiting for 2 years for a response.
Okay. I mean, has anybody made a phone call to the homes?
I have personally made the calls. Our consultancy, DPNH, had made calls. The applicants has made calls.
And what department is that up there?
I think Office on Aging, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but I can get you the contact information.
Yeah. All right, and we have an update on the rebound that's been ordered for the town.
Well, there's not, Brian is going through the tax map update with the state.
I thought that was done.
I don't know if it's fully completed. And then the next step will be that we have to start, we have to go through the process of selecting a company to perform the reval. We're going to have to, do the bid. I don't think that we're going to be able to We already started that until maybe later part of this year, so beginning of next year. Because there's going to be funding requirements also along with that.
No.
Mr. Merwin?
Yeah, that's it, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Murphy?
Okay, I just kind of wanted to address this with you, Listen, I've known you,
Your mic.
I've known you the past 3 years, and I've always liked you, and I put up with a lot of stuff you say that I didn't agree with, and I don't want to get too much into that, but this training thing, I don't know if we need that. The prejudice, I have seen you've been so prejudiced to council members, people here, people in other towns, and people, the cops, you even prejudice them. You have this thing that you think that people have a problem with you. I do not have a problem with it, and most people don't. So in my opinion, maybe you should just look at where the prejudice would be started. And that's how I feel. I feel that you're getting a little carried away with all this. It's not coming from this council.
Okay, so you who has actually been threatened yourself is saying you haven't seen that? So wait, just hold on a minute. So you as a person who's not of color is going to tell me that me getting pulled over and yelled at by police officers while my 8-year-old is in the car is okay? So you don't know, wait a minute, you don't know my personal experiences. Clearly you haven't had them yourself, right?
Yes,
So-
I have.
But you haven't. You can't say you've had my
I
experiences.
haven't as a black man, yes,
So,
I have.
so then let's stop, right? I can't tell you what you experienced by being who you are, tall, whatever you are, right? Everybody has different experiences in life. If I've experienced the things I've experienced, I don't really see how you have a place to tell me that it's my fault or I shouldn't speak.
I'm not saying it's your
Okay.
fault, but you
So
have
I
to
don't
stop.
know who's telling you to say that to me. but
Wait a minute, nobody has, I have sitting here biting my tongue for a
I
while.
don't know why you have to bite your tongue. You don't
Because-
have my life experience. And even how you're behaving now shows that we need ethics training. Because you can't tell somebody else that they didn't experience what they've experienced. So you go ahead with your life and have yourself be pulled over by police and yelled at in front of your child and see how you feel. But I don't really want to hear what you have to say about my feelings and what I've experienced personally. Because that to me right there shows that you don't understand other people's perspectives. I can't tell, but I can't tell you, just keep in mind, I can't tell you what you've been through. But you are telling me that there's a problem with me saying that we need training about this. I have seen people in the audience get yelled at here. I've heard racist things said here. Look at our Facebook page for Old Bridge. This is a sign that you don't understand how that feels for somebody who actually gets the brunt of that behavior. So I really think you should stop, because you sound very insensitive right now.
No, I'm not being
But you
sensitive.
actually are.
It's all about you. You don't know
It's
what
not
I
all
live.
about
You
me.
don't know
I
what I live.
don't. But are you
You've accused me,
experiencing that?
not me.
So this is, right.
I'm
This
just
is
saying.
this is a prime example of why we need training in ethics and inclusion. This is prime example.
You're 100% right.
Anyone on my right have a comment? Mrs. Walker?
Yes, I received several emails about the cable rates going up, and I was going to ask Mr. Philip if he was going to address the problem.
Yes, and actually, the cable company, I did communicate it, I told it, along with our attorney, I